Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you. How are you? Welcome another day, today related to the knees. We are still in the week of the mind, in the month of Aries. Who have said that this week would have been easy? I just wanted first to enforce a concept just in case that it hasn't been clear along this week. So as you have seen along this week, we have been speaking about very easy concepts that basically they're basically the questions. So we might think that the questions are very easy topics to talk about, but as you have seen of the things I've been writing this week, it is not. It is much more complicated and much more deep and profound. And another thing that I just realized when I was writing the post today, it was about how important is to know the origin and the terms of the things that we usually use daily. And with this, I mean about the origin of the words, the etymology, and not only the etymology of the words, but also the history of the terms that we are talking about. So as when we say, for example, this about having a quantum leap or change our consciousness into towards the light, and all these concepts and terms that we use every day, trying to move forward, and that if we don't know correctly where it comes from, we can make these mistakes when we are heading to the future. So usually when we speak about etymology, I love to think about this like if we are talking about our ancestors. When we are doing a process of healing because we want to go forward, because we want to change ourselves, transform our lives or whatever, we usually go to the past. We usually start to make these therapies to think about ourselves, why we are like we are, or why we are not being able to transform ourselves towards the future. So what we have to do there in that moment is to look for the past, for what our parents have done, what our grandparents, grandparents, and all our ancestors. And when we understand the point of view and the reality of our ancestors, we can now understand our life today and what can we do with our life towards the future. So with the words and the concepts is kind of the same. This is why when I write the etymology of the words or explain the concepts in a neutral way in the blog or here, I would love for you to not to take that as just data or a curiosity of history, because it's not what I meant. What I really mean by explaining this is for us to rethink about the concepts that we are using in order to change our future. That's the main goal of understanding the words and the etymology and all that. So I wanted to clarify this. So I say this because today I explain mostly all the etymology of the words for time, for all the origin of how we explain time, how we use time as speaking about. So when we understand that we are using the words when we when we realize that we are using all the words for time related to space, so we can understand that we are trapped in the third dimension all the time, because even the fourth dimension, we explain it through space. So we don't have the terms for the fourth dimension, and that's why we still are bounded to this one. And the same thing happened when we speak about the quantum mechanics or the quantum leap, because quantum is a word that describes the tiniest quantity of things. And we are talking about going into a dimension where things are not quantifiable. It's impossible to quantify the consciousness. Okay, so when we speak about the quantic reality, we are speaking about packages of information, not something free. Yes, so that's why it's so important to understand the origin of the words and why we use them and how we use them in order to keep moving. So I'm saying this because when we are in this process of change of consciousness, we sometimes used to forget the importance of how and why we use certain words, why we feel or do certain things by culture, by words, by languages, whatever. So we are a whole. I know that there are people that says, I just need to feel, I don't need to understand anything, but it's not exactly like this. In order to really be something, you have to understand things, even if you feel them. And of course, the other way around. If you want to understand things, it's necessary for you to feel also. So it's important to remember that we are holistic beings, that we are everything. So that's why we need to have a little bit of understanding of all the topics and all the things. So this is why in this path we are speaking about many topics, many things, all mixed, like how it works the seventh dimension, how it works the economy, how to understand the function of the pineal gland, also how to use the genitals, I don't know. So we are mixing all the things, all the topics together, because everything is really connected. And in order to change our consciousness, we have to expand our consciousness, our way of seeing things. If we don't change the way we see things, if we don't expand the way in which we see things, what is happening is that we are just expanding our own point of view of things. Okay, so that's why it's important to know a little bit of everything and be open to every possibility. So also important thing to understand, and with this I wrap the idea of this introduction, remember that what I do is not the complete truth. It's not the real truth. What I am sharing is just maybe a pedagogic way to understand the universe. And so remember that in order to find much more answers, you have to look for all this data in different ways. Okay, so you have to look for more information and much more data around. Okay, so once said this, let's try to explain the question when. So remember, as always, the etymology. So in English, the word when, from where it comes, from quo do. Quo do, which is the same origin as cuando in Spanish. Quo, remember, is the object, and do means place, the place where the object is. So the question is the object where? The object where? And in Latin, it transforms, the quo transforms into quam and quem. Quem do, the object where, the object where. So this quem is transformed as wem in the Nordic languages. That gives you when. Okay, so that's it. So now the question would be why the question of when is formed by the particles of space. Why? And this is related to the way in which the ancient ones saw the world. Is us in the Western cultures in the present that have divided time and space as different things. So now, for sure, we can say that in the ancient times, they had gods for the time, but they had not gods for space. They had a god for the earth, a god for the water, a god for the air, but there was not a god for space. Like the Greek people, they had the god Chronos, which is the god of time. But actually, if you see carefully, the god of time was the one transforming the matter. So it was the one related to the path of transformation of matter. So the god of time was also the god of space. For the ancient ones, time and space was the same thing. So as you've seen, it's ourselves that today we have divided the concept of time and space, and then we started to put them together again with the relativity of time that was discovered just a few decades ago. So this relativity of time started to give us much more philosophy today, with the philosophy with movies and books and spirituality, that we start to speak about the unity between time and space. But this is just from the last years. But it can call us the attention when we look backwards in the past and we figure out that for the ancient ones, time and space was the same thing. And that's why the question when is made up with words that are related to space. So why? For those who believe that the earth is flat, I'm sorry for the next I'm going to say. So this is the curvature of earth. Here we have a little person. Can you see it? So this, what we have here, is what we call the line of horizon. Horizon. So this means that this little person here can't see anything else from this distance. That's the line that that person can see. Okay? From the earth. So now, why it is called horizon? Because the etymology is horos kyklos. Horos kyklos in Greek means path, horos, path, and kyklos, circular, circle, cycle. So horos kyklos describes how the stars, in a circular way, they move and they disappear and they come back again, like a cycle, okay, like a circle, once and again. And they disappear and appear on a path, on a way, in the perspective. It's like a path through where they disappear. So this is why they call that horizon. Horizon is the path of the cycle of the stars. Okay. So now when the Earth starts to spin, the sun starts to move like this. So we start to see the sun. So when the sun touches the line, the visual line of horizon, is when we see the sunrise. So the first rays of light comes to this little person here in the morning. The sun rises here and it moves around the sky and it disappears in this region here, in this position. What is really happening? That the Earth is moving in that direction. The Earth is moving in that direction. That's why the sun seems to move in that way, in that direction. So in the beginning, this little person here cannot measure time because doesn't understand the concept of time. So the only thing that that person can do is to describe the things that it can see. So now this little person here can see the sun rising here, so it starts to shine, the shine of the light. So it is shining all this moment until it disappears here. So the shining light will be called yeu. That gives the word day. So that's why we have day. So to this word, when the sun sets, there is no more light. So no more shiny things. And that's why they put particles of negation, denying, in the word. Niego, which will give nox. The word nox, that gives night. So day means light, bright, and night means no bright, no shine. So from this comes the names of what is happening during the day. So the Indo-European people will see, the old people will see that the light that is starting to come is something good that is coming. So that good is is something good that I will have. Okay, so, it's something good, ma. Okay, and this good is new because it's coming, it's something new, which is nean. Nean is something new, means new. So manian is the one that gives origin to morning. Morning is the origin of this part of the day. This word mit-yeu means the light in the middle of the sky, the light in the middle. And that is midday. So in English, we have here the concept of being slow, which is tardu, and being behind, which is aeth. So after is behind something that is slow. Yes. So the perception is that the light is going slower. Is the perception that they had. The light is going slower. Okay. So that's why after. So afternoon, yes, would be that. But also, for English, we have another word, which is new again. Nean. New. So afnean. Afnean is the one that gives origin to the word evening. Afnean. So is behind something new. Behind the horizon comes something new. Evening. So it's a beautiful word. So as you see, we have here how the ancient ones used to see the position of the stars and the sun during the day. It's not about concepts, it's about how they saw the light. So there were also some stages that divided the day according to the position of the light. So in the ancient times, the god of light, the god of the sun, was blessing humans with the hands in the rays of light. So we had many different blessings or ways to be blessed, and we call that divinity, the divine. So many different divinities in the light. Each one of the rays during the day was a divinity called Hur. So I was just saying that that in the ancient times the word light was Hur. So when they were talking about the different gods of the reality, they call them the Hurs. So that's the origin of hours, the hours. Okay. The hours of time. So as we can see now, all the words like before, after, now, they are all words that come directly from the physical concepts, from the space. So from this concept, we can understand that all the time that we are speaking about temporal things, we are constantly relating them to physical things. So related to this, how to understand how we understand time related only through space, we can take the paradox of this of the twins, that, for example, you have twin brothers, and one of them stays on Earth and the other one goes on a spaceship for years. So what happened to the one that stays here on the planet is that gets older really fast, and the one that went for years to the space came back being young, like in the moment when he left. So this happens because of gravity, because time is related to the gravity of the planet. So we are bounded to the time because of the gravity in which we live. But if we leave this gravity, if we go away from the gravity of the planet, the time starts to be different. The hours, the way in which we transform ourselves starts to be different according to other gravities and other spots. So this is why we reach the point to understand that everything that we can call time is really the matter transforming itself constantly. So in the macrocosmos, time doesn't really exist because time is related to the movement of space. So actually, there is nothing else in the reality of the macrocosmos than the present, the constant here and now. Is the only thing that really exists in the space, nothing else. So the only way where you can really live the time is in the microcosmos. When you go in the microcosmos, what happened is that the particles are not more bounded by the quantic reality. The quantic reality is the measurable reality, the things that you can measure in quantum, in a quantity. Okay, so behind the microcosmos, behind the quantum reality, behind the things that you can measure and count, you have particles that behave totally different, like waves or whatever, doing whatever they want. And only one particle has so many probabilities that can be up and down, back and forward, inside and outside at the same time. So this is how we can say that the macrocosmos is controlled by the space reality and the microcosmos is controlled by the time reality. But both of them are conditioning each other. This is why the word when, the question when, is talking about the position that an object has in a specific space. So here's when you can say, when the sun is in the horizon, starts the morning. When the sun is above, is the midday. When the sun is in the horizon, again, is the sunset, the evening. When there is no sun, there is night. As you have said, as you have seen, is about the position of something in the sky that determines the time, but it's not really time. Time doesn't really exist. The thing that I'm saying is that there is the eternal present. Matter is constantly in the present, all the time. And when I say the present, here and now, constantly, I'm speaking about the material reality, which is the quantic reality, which means from the atoms up to all this reality that we see, from atoms up. Okay, so that's the physical aspect of this reality. I'm not speaking about the other one. I'm speaking about this one that we know. So in this way, we can understand now that people doesn't age or die because of time. We die and we age because the molecules decompose, because the oxygen dissolves the cells, because the cells fall apart, because the matter itself starts to decompose. It's not because of time, it's because of matter transforming. So this means that time is not really something apart from space. It's the same thing. It's almost the same thing, related to the gravity of matter. This is why everything really exists here and now. This is why people say we have to be here and now. The only thing that exists is here and now. because it's literally like that. It's the only thing that exists, is here and now. So now the thing is like, so how can we explain the connections through time and time traveling? Well, for that answer, we have to go to the microcosmos, where one body, one particle can be at the same time in many different places, behaving like many different things. Only one particle. So this means that one particle in the microcosmos can be on the back, behind, before, or in front, after, or inside, here, now. So that same particle can be in different times. So it means different spaces. So what are the different times? In reality, different times are different spaces, probable different spaces. From the point of view of the macrocosmos, in the physical way, in the matter, a past life has happened, but is still alive in the memory of the cell. That's why we can remember it. So it is still alive in the cells of the matter today. But from the point of view of the microcosmos, that past life is happening, actually happening in one parallel reality. This is why when we start to get connected in meditation with ourselves, we can connect with the past and the future. Remember, the when is a matter of location. In the macrocosmos is related with where I locate the things. In the microcosmos is related to where are manifested the possibilities of only one particle. All this because trying to understand the etymology of the word when. I know it's a lot of things, a lot of data every day, and these days has been very much. So there's no need to understand it now, okay? There's no need to understand it now. So don't push yourself to try to get these things now. It really doesn't matter. We've been like this every day, so you have it here. The vibration for today is Gu. The statement for today is I am the history's vision. The code for today is Centaurus. Representing the race of half men and half horses, this being represented the transgression of the laws and the fight. But among them, Chiron made the difference, being the wise one that prepared men in knowledge and arts of all kind. Thus, its stars remind us about the strength in times of struggles, the unity between beast and reason. Let's go to the alignment. I concentrate in my breathing as I recognize the place where I find myself in and the body I find myself in. And I observe above me a light, which is consciousness in the shape of a divine spark. And taking deep breath, I ignite it. I descend this divine spark to my crown. Taking deep breaths, I expand this divine spark, shaping my crown. And in its light, I activate the question, when? Ignite. I descend this divine spark to my third eye. Taking deep breaths, I expand this divine spark throughout all my brain. And in its light, I activate the question, when? Ignite. I descend this divine spark to my throat. Taking deep breaths, I expand this divine spark throughout all my throat and my voice. And in its light, I activate the question, when? Ignite. I descend this divine spark to my heart. Taking a deep breath, I expand this divine spark throughout all my heart, every direction. And in its light, I activate the question, when? I unite my heart. I descend this divine spark to my plexus. Taking deep breath, I expand this divine spark throughout all my being. And in its light, I activate the question, when? Ignite. I descend this divine spark to the sacrum. Taking deep breath, I expand this divine spark throughout all my creative center. And in its light, I activate the question, when? Ignite. I descend this divine spark to my root chakra. Taking deep breaths, I expand this divine spark throughout my genitals. And in its light, I activate the question, when? Ignite. I descend this divine spark to my knees. Taking deep breaths, I expand this divine spark throughout my legs and my knees. And in its light, I activate the question, when? Ignite. I descend this divine spark towards my feet. Taking deep breaths, I expand this divine spark throughout my feet and ankles. And in its light, I activate the question, when? Ignite. I expand this divine spark throughout all the directions, throughout my body. And I recognize, when I will believe in me, when I'm going to think more in me, when I'm going to say my truth, when I'm going to express my feelings, when I'm going to be who I really are, when I'm going to create, when I'm going to decide, when I'm going to live my own story, when I'm going to choose my own path. I am the history's vision. I am the history's vision. I am the history's vision. I am, I am, I am, here and now. Take a deep breath and bring this consciousness through your body, stretching, yawning, and each one at its own time, come back here and now. Thank you everybody for being here as always, and see you tomorrow at the same time.